World's most expensive country to visit. Are you someone who enjoys traveling a lot and has a preference for premium experiences? Alternatively, perhaps you are in the process of arranging your next vacation and want to ensure that you budget appropriately. There is no need to look any further because we have delved into the realm of travel data to enumerate the countries that are the most expensive to visit. We are going to travel to nations that are well known for having high costs of living, and we will learn about everything from the magnificent scenery of Switzerland to the exciting city life of Singapore. We invite you to accompany us on this statistical excursion as we uncover the locations that have the potential to affect your financial situation. These facts will give you vital insights into the most expensive nations to add to your travel bucket list, regardless of whether you are a traveler who is concerned about their budget or simply curious about the world that you are seeing. That being said, let's get down to the numbers and find out what it is about these locations that make them worth the additional cost. Number 13, Nigeria. According to the data that states Nigeria is the 13th most expensive country for tourists, Nigeria is the 13th most expensive country in the world for tourists. This implies that Nigeria is the 13th most expensive country for tourists. Based on this information, it appears that traveling to Nigeria can be considerably more expensive than traveling to other countries. The place that Nigeria holds in this list is influenced by a variety of factors, including the cost of lodging, transportation, food, activities, and numerous other expenditures. This figure is specifically related to visitors and the expenses they incur, and it does not necessarily reflect the overall cost of living in Nigeria for inhabitants. It is also crucial to highlight that this number is specific to tourists. Number 12. United States, New York, and San Francisco. According to the data presented below, the United States of America is the 12th most costly country in the world to visit out of all the countries currently in existence. When compared to other cities in the country, the cost of living in large cities such as New York and San Francisco is significantly more than in smaller municipalities. This indicates that tourists should be prepared to pay greater prices while traveling to these particular urban areas within the United States of America. Number 11. Bahamas. According to the data that states the Bahamas is the 13th most expensive country to travel to, the Bahamas is the 12th most expensive destination for tourists when compared to other countries. This is because the Bahamas is the 13th most expensive country to visit to. This rating takes into account a variety of elements, including the cost of lodging, cost of transportation, cost of food, and other expenses that are generally incurred during a journey trip. The fact that the Bahamas is ranked 13th on the list of most expensive countries indicates that tourists should anticipate spending more money there in comparison to many other places across the world. Number 10. Ireland. The statement that Ireland ranks 11th in the list of most expensive countries to visit suggests that when the cost of traveling to other countries are compared, Ireland is regarded as the 11th most expensive country to visit. This rating is determined by several factors, including the cost of lodging, meals, transportation, and other expenses that are commonly incurred by tourists. In terms of their overall budget, it is suggested that tourists should anticipate higher expenses when traveling to Ireland in comparison to other nations. Number 9. Canada. As a result of this fact, Canada is ranked as the 10th most costly country to visit in terms of the expenditures associated with lodging and transportation. It is therefore reasonable to anticipate that tourists who visit Canada will be required to pay greater fees for accommodations, rental cars, and transportation services in comparison to the majority of other nations. The high prices of lodging and transportation are two factors that contribute to the overall expenditure of traveling to Canada. These factors should be taken into consideration while making plans to travel to the country from another country. Number 8. Israel. It has been determined through this statistical analysis that Israel is the 9th most expensive country for tourists to visit. According to this, the cost of day-to-day expenses in Israel, which includes things like lodging, food, transportation, and activities, is somewhat high in comparison to the cost of these things in other nations. When traveling to Israel, tourists should anticipate spending more than $150 per day on average with their budgets. Number 7. Luxembourg. According to the statistics, Luxembourg, a nation that is well known for its high cost of living, is listed as the 8th most expensive country to visit. The conclusion that can be drawn from this is that when comparing the cost of traveling to other nations, Luxembourg stands out as one of the most expensive possibilities. Several factors could be contributing to this rating, including the high pricing of many goods and services, including food, transportation, and lodging. When planning a trip to Luxembourg, tourists should be aware that the country's costs may be greater than those of other countries they can visit. Number 6. Sweden. According to the data presented here, the average price of a gallon of gasoline in Sweden is $6, which is a price that is considered to be relatively high in comparison to the prices in other nations. Taking into consideration the cost of gasoline, this places Sweden at the 6th spot on the list of the most costly travel destinations. Travelers who are going to visit Sweden and need to create a budget for the cost of transportation will find this information to be helpful. It also gives an idea of the general cost of living in Sweden, which is significant because high gasoline prices typically reflect higher pricing for products and services in a country. Number 5. Denmark. When compared to other nations around the world, Denmark is ranked as the 5th most expensive destination for tourists. This is what the statistic that states Denmark is the 5th most expensive country to visit means. This rating is determined by several different elements, including the costs of lodging, food and drink, transportation, and entertainment for the individual. Travelers can anticipate that their expenses in Denmark will, on average, be greater than those in a great number of other nations. This suggests that a larger budget may be required to fully enjoy the experience of visiting this country. Number 4. Japan. According to this figure, Japan is regarded as the 4th most expensive country for tourists, which indicates that traveling to Japan might add up to a significant amount of money. In particular, Tokyo stands out as one of the cities in Japan that is considered to be among the most costly. When traveling to Japan, especially in Tokyo, tourists should be prepared to pay greater fees for a variety of expenses, including lodging, food, transportation, and other costs. Number 3. Iceland. It is implied by the statistic that Iceland is the 3rd most expensive country for tourists, that tourists who visit Iceland should anticipate higher prices for a variety of components of their trip when compared to tourists who visit other countries. Based on this rating, it appears that Iceland's expenses, including those related to lodging, transportation, food, and a variety of tourist activities, are relatively more expensive than those in the majority of other nations throughout the world. The fact that Iceland is ranked as the 3rd most costly country draws attention to the financial concerns that tourists need to take into account when planning a vacation to Iceland. This underscores the necessity of budgeting and cautious financial planning. Number 2. Norway. According to the statistic titled Norway ranks 2nd as the most expensive country to visit. Norway is the 2nd most expensive country to visit. This ranking is based on several factors, including the cost of lodging, transportation, food, and activities. Based on this ranking, it appears that tourists who visit Norway may anticipate greater costs in comparison to those of the majority of other countries, which may affect their financial plans and trip plans. Not only does it highlight Norway's reputation for having a high cost of living, but it also underscores the necessity for tourists to carefully analyze and plan their spending while they are traveling throughout the nation. Number 1. Switzerland. Switzerland stands out as the country where visitors generally have to spend the most money compared to other countries. This is indicated by the statistic that states Switzerland is the most expensive country to visit in the world as of 2021. This statistic is based on several different factors, including the cost of lodging, food and drink, transportation, entertainment, and other expenses. Because this discovery is particular to the year 2021, it suggests that tourists should anticipate greater prices for goods and services in Switzerland. As a result, it is essential to make appropriate preparations and budgets when contemplating a trip to Switzerland. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below, and don't forget to make sure to like and subscribe for further travel ideas. Thank you for coming along with us on this once-in-a-lifetime journey, and until we meet again, may you continue to discover the marvels that the world has to offer.